America's Homeless Emergency 2025. It's worse than you think. This is Homeless in America by Streetside Witness. We rip open the untold truths of America's streets and find more life stacked under blue tarps than in some small towns. On a single winter night in 2024, 770,000 people had no safe bed, a jump of 18% in just 1 year. Picture that crowd filling every seat in 10 Super Bowls, then spilling into parking lots. Meanwhile, rental prices just hit a national median of $2,069 a month, the highest on record. But this isn't a numbers story. It's your story, my story, our civic soul on trial. Every 3.5 hours in Los Angeles County alone, an unhoused neighbor dies. Let that clock tick while we talk. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ride shotgun as we walk boulevards politicians avoid after sunset. Ready to join the journey? 1. The growing tide. Picture an ocean of canvas and cardboard. 771,480 people swept onto sidewalks on a single January night in 2024, an 18% jump that erased a decade of gains. That's a city bigger than Detroit camping beneath billboards that promise luxury living. How loud would their combined heartbeat sound? California alone shoulders 187,084 unhoused neighbors, 2/3 unsheltered, while New York State hovers at 158,019. The nation's biggest economies can't buy enough roofs. Los Angeles County clocks in at 72,308 souls. Think Dodger Stadium packed to the rafters, plus another 12,000 standing room only. Nearly 6 in 10 still sleep outside despite an historic housing budget. Head east, New York City's daily shelter census averages 87,221 bodies, a record driven by families with children. Envision every seat on every subway car filled, then double it. Maricopa County logged 9,734 unhoused people this January, with 53% sleeping under desert stars. Officials warn a 28% spike in unsheltered folks since stimulus shelters closed. Concrete flashpoints multiply. RV canyons along Venice Boulevard, the swirling barter economy at 16th and Mission Bard Plaza, the sun-bleached zone at 9th Avenue and Jackson. Even timber towns in Montana report double-digit jumps. I still set an alarm. Just no walls, says Patricia, 52 Venice Beach, brushing sand off her mechanic's uniform beneath a no overnight sign. Rent went up, mom got sick, paycheck stayed the same. The tide rises, and so do voices demanding we watch. Second roots of the crisis. First domino, cost. National rental vacancy shrank to 7.1%, the tightest spring in 5 years. Median asking rent hit $2,069, another all-time high. Yet the average renter pockets $23.18 an hour, $8.93 short of the two-bedroom housing wage of $32.11. Think of it as running a marathon on a treadmill, miles logged, zero forward motion. Since 2020, Phoenix, Austin, and Miami asking rents have exploded by roughly 30%, triple local wage growth. Eviction filings in Sunbelt metros track the curve upward. Supply? America is short 7.1 million affordable units. Only 35 homes available for every 100 extremely low-income renter families. HUD's draft 2025 point-in-time dashboard already flags 27 states posting double-digit unsheltered spikes. When production lines stall and paychecks plateau, gravity does the rest. Wages slip, rents climb, and people fall. And once over the edge, the climb back up is steeper than ever. Smash that like if you believe numbers should add up to shelter. And stay with me. Next, we walk a mile in borrowed shoes. 3. Survival's heavy cost. What does it cost to stay alive when the city sleeps? For the unsheltered, every dusk triggers a triage drill. Choose the lit doorway and risk a citation, or the dark cul-de-sac and risk assault. Safety trades places with sleep like two strangers sharing the same cardboard. Rooflessness isn't just exposure, it's bait. Polaris's 2024 National Survivor Study found 64% of trafficking survivors were homeless as children. A couch offer often came with chains attached. The FBI warns its field offices of an uptick, predators trolling encampments because desperation lowers the price of consent. "They promised a sofa, turned it into a price," whispers Jamal, 19 Phoenix, who bolted from foster care, only to land in the zone. Every favor costs double after dark. By dawn, the ledger of survival is stark. $4.25 for bus fare to the free clinic. $6 for a pack of A batteries to keep a phone your lifeline. Breathing. $0 for hope, unless you can trade kindness for Narcan when the neighbor overdoses. Trauma stacks interest. Johns Hopkins researchers link chronic sleep deprivation on the street to a 60% higher risk of hypertension. Street medicine teams in Maricopa County report treating 1,700 wound care cases in 2024 alone, many caused by rat bites or improvised heaters. Each choice drains another battery, literal and figurative. Smash that like if you believe a nation this rich can afford better currency than fear. 4. Community trust under strain. The phones won't hush. San Francisco dispatchers logged about 900 public disturbance calls at this single intersection in March, one every 50 minutes. Picture a broken record stuck on 911. It spins faster than City Hall can draft a memo. Each pin tells a tense story. A merchant reporting a man pacing with a tire iron. A commuter worried about screams under the escalator. A passerby stunned by someone seizing on the curb. Fear pushes every button. Sometimes compassion does too, but both funnel into the same overworked call queue. Cities are ripping pages from the old playbook and writing margins full of new ink. In Denver, the Star van rolls up instead of a squad car. Just a paramedic and a social worker clinician tag team. No badges, no sirens, no guns. They hand out blankets, replace freeze with "how can we help?" and they clear scenes 20 minutes quicker on average. The math is simple. Fewer cuffs, faster calm. Scalability, though, is a stern teacher. Star clocks out at 10 p.m. The midnight call about a barefoot woman shouting at traffic still defaults to police radio. And when traditional officers roll up to a mental health spiral, lights flash, shadows jump, adrenaline spikes, and sometimes a taser fills the gap where a therapist should be. Los Angeles is piloting heart teams, badges paired with clinicians, but deployment covers only a quarter of the county on any given shift. I rode along last month. We diverted 3 crises from jail in one afternoon, but radio chatter kept buzzing with incidents we couldn't reach. It felt like bailing a flooding boat with a coffee mug. Neighborhood patience is wearing thin. Storefront owners push for ambient offense crackdowns. They want clear sidewalks and unbroken windows. On the flip side, tent dwellers now live stream every contact with officers determined to prove dignity is cheaper than force. The result is a feedback loop of mutual suspicion. Cameras and petitions, citations and countersuits, fragile trust stretched like old elastic. "I'm tired of being the first face people see when hope runs out," Officer Brenna tells me, eyes ringed from back-to-back shifts. "Give me more nurses, fewer flashlights." At last night's town hall, one speaker shouted for more patrols, while the next demanded mobile clinics. The moderator's gavel echoed like a metronome, trying to hold tempo in a symphony of clashing instruments. So here's the question we can't dodge. What builds safety faster? More sirens or more sandals on outreach nurses? Drop your take in the comments, and don't blink. Next, we unzip the chemical shadow, stalking every campfire circle and alleyway. 5. The weight of dependency. Every addiction counselor I shadow tells the same story. First comes the eviction, then the escalation. Roughly 1 in 3 people sleeping rough meet clinical criteria for a substance use disorder. Drill deeper, and a university survey found 2/3 had used illicit drugs several times a week at some point in life. When the sidewalk is your bedroom, the line between self-medication and self-destruction blurs fast. Beds are scarce. More than 100 million Americans live in counties officially branded mental health professional shortage areas. The gap yawns widest outside city limits. Most rural counties have no psychiatric nurse practitioners at all. Picture entire swaths of farmland where recovery is a 90-minute bus ride, if the bus still runs. Alicia, 33, Denver, freckles and resolve, clutches her 18-month sobriety chip. 7 women, 1 fridge, 0 relapses, she laughs, gesturing to the Oxford House, where she pays $140 a week and votes on every house rule. Nationwide, those peer-run homes now top 3,500, sheltering more than 20,000 residents each night. Yet demand dwarfs these islands of hope. Many residential centers over 16 beds still wrestle with outdated funding limits, leaving states to patch together detox money. Even when a slot opens, Medicaid waitlist can stretch 6 to 10 weeks in high-need counties. How many overdoses fit inside that calendar gap? Dependency drags whole service systems with it. Emergency crews in Maricopa County deployed naloxone thousands of times last year, while ERs treated wound care cases caused by rat bites or improvised heaters. Each crisis siphons dollars from housing solutions, feeding the very spiral we're trying to escape. So smash that. If you believe recovery should be measured in open doors, not zip codes, stick around. Next, we test the limits of a safety net stretched past the tearing point. 6. Systems stretched thin. Remember the headline number: more than 750,000 unhoused on a single January night. Now flip to the inventory ledger. The entire country mustered just over 500,000 year-round shelter beds last year, a third short before one pillow is even clean. Think musical chairs, but when the music stops, winter wind bites. The strain spills into classrooms. Schools flagged roughly 1.4 million pre-K to 12 students without stable housing last year, up a quarter since pandemic relief expired. Gym lockers double as dresser drawers, while school liaisons juggled caseloads triple the recommended load. Healthcare isn't faring better. With a third of the population living in mental health shortage areas, wait times for therapy average 48 days, longer in farm counties where a single clinician covers 4 ZIP codes.
I think many people find themselves homeless because they've had a health event. It could be a behavioral health issue. It could be a chronic disease that goes untreated.
Rural parents drive 90 minutes for a 20-minute psych consult, burning fuel cards instead of buying groceries. Housing vouchers promise rescue, but bureaucracy pinches the hose. Los Angeles' last Section 8 lottery drew more than 200,000 applications for just 30,000 slots, odds tougher than med school. For those without Wi-Fi or a charged phone, even entering the lottery is a moonshot. The digital divide blocks the gate everywhere. Meanwhile, staff shortages hit the front lines. A single social worker in Phoenix's zone averages nearly 100 cases, double the recommended load. Shelter directors report credentialed nurse turnover north of 30%, a churn rate rivaling fast food chains. The result? Voucher approvals that arrive after the landlord has hiked rent again. Students who change schools 5 times before 8th grade. Outreach nurses racing county lines like triage couriers. If our safety net has this many holes, is it still a net or just a story we tell to feel better? Drop your fixes in the comments. Next up, we ask whether policy can catch up with public will. Join the journey. Subscribe, share, and stay witnessing. 7. Policy and public disconnect. Money talks, but sometimes it only mumbles. Take a look at last year's ledgers. One coastal city earmarked 10% of its entire general fund, $1.3 billion for homelessness. Yet nearly half of that mountain never left the vault. Paper promises don't keep people warm. Meanwhile, a neighboring county floated a $1 billion housing tax on the ballot. Polling shows it teetering at 49% yes, 48% no, 3% shrug. Voters want solutions, just not if the price tag lands solely on their doorstep. Zoom out to state houses. Some governors tout record housing budgets, but the fine print reveals a shell game. Dollars shifted from mental health lines to shelter grants, then dragged through procurement delays until the fiscal year expires. Picture a bucket brigade where half the buckets have holes. How many gallons reach the fire? Now the rules of the sidewalk keep changing. One Sunbelt city banned public camping citywide, issuing over 1,000 citations in a single year. Merchants cheered cleaner storefronts. Public defenders groaned under a stack of misdemeanor cases. Across the Rockies, lawmakers tried a softer glove, right to rest, bills that shield tents from overnight sweeps. But critics argue they institutionalize the very misery we're fighting. Whose freedom weighs more? The right to sleep or the right to stroll an unobstructed sidewalk? Encampment closures often ride a carousel. Clear the block, people circle back days later, trust erodes. Budget hawks ask why billions buy tents instead of keys. Advocates counter that keys can't appear without zoning reform and hard hat crews. Both sides agree on one thing. Current policy feels like pumping the brakes and the gas at once. Rhetorical question. If we're spending record sums yet seeing record street counts, where's the leak? Smash that, like if you think transparency should track every taxpayer nickel. Stay tuned, because while the spreadsheets stall, neighbors are already rolling up sleeves. 8. Building bridges through compassion. While city halls debate decimal points, grassroots armies act. In the Redwood coast town of Eureka, volunteers drive a retrofitted truck that pumps out 200 hot showers a week. At every stop, towels, soap, and a smile. Across the country in Frederick, Maryland, community tables push out 2,000 meals per week, 365 nights a year, because hunger doesn't take holidays. Phoenix volunteers faced last summer's heat dome head-on, opening pop-up cooling centers stocked with 84,000 bottles of water and crates of electrolyte packets. People staggered and red-faced and left laughing, clutching fresh socks. The price tag? Less than one police overtime shift. Then there's the power of tiny things. A Bay Area collective distributes 500 harm reduction kits every month. Narcan, clean syringes, condoms, filling gaps that policy won't touch. In Minneapolis, high schoolers run a laundry love night, swiping prepaid cards so families can wash 3 loads apiece. Average cost per family, $8. Average morale boost, priceless. These acts aren't charity, they're civic infrastructure built from empathy instead of concrete. Showers restore dignity, clean clothes open job doors, a shared meal rewires the brain from panic to planning. And compassion scales faster than cement. One retired nurse trains 10 volunteers, who train 100 more, who canvass entire zip codes with wound care tips before City Hall, even prints a memo. Maya, 27, mobile shower driver, wipes fog from the mirror. Every gallon of hot water buys someone one more interview, one more hug they're not embarrassed to receive. Imagine amplifying that ripple. What if every district pledged a roaming hygiene bus? Every school cafeteria opened its ovens on weekends. Every empty lot sprouted a cooling shade pavilion. The blueprint exists, we just need the will. Ready to join the journey? Throw a like, share a link to your local effort in the comments, and let's prove compassion is the cheapest, fastest infrastructure we'll ever build. 9. Community-led light in the darkness. While headline budgets stall, neighbors improvise hope. In an empty church basement on Wednesday nights, pews push aside for laundry love. Volunteers swipe prepaid cards, turning industrial washers into dignity machines. Families fold warm clothes, kids race paper boats across rolling carts, and for an hour, the spin cycle sounds like applause. Across town, a peer-run art studio paints plywood into possibility. Canvases stretched from discarded billboards bloom with skyline silhouettes and desert sunsets. Tourists buy memory-sized versions. Proceeds pay for paint and propane. One brushstroke at a time, sidewalks become galleries. Artists become ambassadors. On the next block, the old rectory has morphed into a sober home. 8 bunks, open governance, rent capped at what a part-time grocery shift can cover. Everyone votes on curfews, fridge etiquette, and whether the Friday meeting ends with karaoke or prayer. Recovery, it turns out, thrives on shared chores and silly songs. Faith coalitions install outdoor outlets so tent dwellers can charge phones and dignity at the same time. Youth groups pack weekend care sacks, granola bars, wet wipes, handwritten jokes, and deliver them by skateboard. A retired nurse trains teens to spot early signs of trench foot.
If you've never seen trench foot, now you have. The soles of the feet can absorb up to 200% their weight in water, which can lead to damage to the skin, nerves, vessels. Please be careful.
A local chef runs super pop-ups under freeway ramps, serving fajo that fogs the air with ginger and belonging. People treat me like a neighbor, not a nuisance, says Isaiah, a former bricklayer who now runs security for the art studio. That brings my shoulders down more than any pill. Tiny acts stack like Lego bricks, building a structure official blueprints never draft. Compassion travels faster than funding approvals, multiplies faster than permits. Rhetorical question, what if every city block hosted one micro-miracle per week? How long before the statistics had to chase a brand new narrative? Smash that like if you've witnessed citizen genius in action. Drop your local light-in-the-darkness story below and give someone else a blueprint. 10. A future worth fighting. For Patricia guarding her RV, Jamal dodging midnight predators, Alicia counting sober sunrises. 3 lives woven through this journey. 3 reasons the story must end in keys, not citations. Their voices echo a single truth. Homelessness is a policy choice, not a cosmic curse. So, where do we steer the ship? 1. Fast homes. First, green light modular micro-unit factories and pre-approved sites, 500,000 keys in 5 years, buildings that pop up quicker than despair. 2. Care over cuffs. Scale civilian crisis teams to every metro over 100,000 people, 24 hours a day. Redirect policing dollars toward medics and mediators. 3. Access for all. Abolish digital gatekeeping. Paper sign-ups at libraries, mobile Wi-Fi hubs at encampments, real-time language support. Eligibility should hinge on need, not broadband. Picture the first morning after those goals land. RV Canyon transformed into an urban orchard, the zone replaced by a mixed-income village, choir voices amplified in a renovated art center instead of echoing off concrete. You, me, everyone still watching. We're the crew chiefing that build. Here's your toolkit. Volunteer 1 evening a month, vote in every election down ballot to top, and share this video so facts outrun fear. Tap subscribe and turn on notifications, because this channel isn't a spectator sport, it's a workshop. Ready to join the journey? Grip a paintbrush, stuff a care sack, show up at a zoning hearing. Hope is heavy, but many hands make light work. Imagine a sunrise where the only tents left in city parks hold summer campers roasting marshmallows, not neighbors bargaining for safety. Hold that image, breathe it in, then go help build it. See you in the next episode, and until then, stay witnessing.